Konnichiwa, Kawaii Critic here to review Fear the Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 3, Teotwawki. So, we begin this episode seeing some real footage, which takes up the entire opening sequence. And unfortunately, it does sort of place this sort of established timeline, which I thought they were never going to do for either The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead. But it seems like they're finally giving this some sort of time frame where the undead come back. So that was a bit weird. Anyways, we see that Madison is talking to this group, and they talk about who has died and so on and so forth. And with her still is, of course, Nick and their his sister Alicia. I finally got her name for this episode because they said it a lot. And one of the group members wants to investigate what happened to the helicopter. And so they're getting ready for this meal. And Nick's girlfriend, whose name I actually forgot over the time, she wanted to leave when she woke up. And I believe his name is Jake, the one with the messed up eye, is talking to Madison about Travis and how he thinks that Nick needs to earn his place in this little town area place. We have then the doc, who I didn't get his name last time either, whose name is actually Victor, and we see him drive past these group of people. Then we see that Nick actually does want to leave the group. Madison warns Jake about stuff like, oh, if he bothers her son, then she'll go all crazy or something. And she also I believe the sister talks to, Madison talks to Troy. I believe it was Madison that talked to Troy afterward. Anyway, Nick and Alicia talk about their dad near this ranch and how their backstory and stuff. And Troy tried to talk over with his brother about staying away from the Madison family, or whatever their last names are. Anyway, Alicia goes to smoke this pipe with this little crew of other individuals. They take out this walker head and start asking each other questions. Madison watches more tapes of the old guy, the granddad. I forgot what his name was. I don't think they mention it in this episode, but the old guy, and how he used to be messed up and stuff. And then they start talking about their partners and parents and how they died. So more backstory stuff, and then we see Victor talking to this business guy named Dante for a bit. You can see that on the right of me right there. We see Alicia talks more about how the world has changed and how she's supposedly changed. And this group talks about this other group, I think that they're either a part of or something, called the Autos. And then she mentions how killing has become super easy and how she's done it. So Dante shows Victor this guy on the railing and then drops him off into these pit of walkers, and then he afterwards threatens to throw Victor off, and so Dante is now in control of that situation. Nick is visited by Jake, and he wants them to go out in this little patrol. Meanwhile, Madison talks with the granddad about their children now at this point. And thus, the search party, we come back to that with the dog party being sent out. They send out the dogs, and we come back to Madison with the old guy, and he brings her to this bunker. Nick suspects that Jake will attack, so Nick then attacks Jake, and gets ready to kill him, but doesn't, and then they suddenly decide that they want to be, or at least Jack does want them to be friends after that weird encounter. Uh, so Madison talks with Nick's girlfriend about the situation, and then Madison sees Troy talking with the granddad character, and then them setting out a party and how she wants to also go out and search. Uh, we then see Victor is imprisoned, and then he gets visited by one of the characters that I believe was only in season one, the older Hispanic character. Uh, so I don't remember his name either, but he was. I thought he had died too at some point. So I don't know what. Maybe I'm misremembering again, but whatever. So that is the recap. Now let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead as this episode is concerned. Like I said from the previous episode, I do think the pacing was a little bit better here, but there's still something about this show that still doesn't stick out. There still hasn't been that character or characters that really, really stick out, like in The Walking Dead, for example. I don't think they have that type of character yet, and I don't think they have the type of situation where they can present that, and really, this episode doesn't feature a lot of walkers, except for the one walker they bring out for the little pipe smoking sequence. Other than that, this episode's just people talking, and it is pretty boring for that from that perspective. Sure, there's the other sequence where I just talked about with the Dante guy talking, throwing the guy off the roof, but we don't know who that guy is. We don't care about that guy, and it's sort of this thing of none of the characters, I don't know what it is, something about them just doesn't stick out enough about them. There isn't a character that seems to take hold of the sort of badass, sort of like, I really don't want that character to die. Like, for just as an example, like Michonne, there is no character like that in Fear of the Walking Dead, and I feel like that actually is hurting the show as a whole. There is no standout character. So I really, really hope that they introduce some character really, really soon because, and have that character also stand out. I feel like that's what the show desperately needs at this point. We're in season 3, or 3 episodes in, and it's not looking really good. But we shall see. So that is my review of this episode, and if you liked it, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone,